Sophia had always thought her marriage was solid. After 7 years with Ethan, their life was full of routine, but comfortable. Ethan was kind, stable, and dependable, always ensuring that the household was taken care of and their schedules aligned. But sometimes, comfortable wasn't enough. It all started at a charity gala that her best friend, Layla, had invited her to. Ethan was out of town on business as usual, and Sophia had almost declined the invitation. But something made her say yes. The moment she stepped into the venue, her eyes were drawn to him, Gabriel. He was standing by the bar, casually chatting with another guest, his presence magnetic. Gabriel had always been charming. They had met once before, briefly, through mutual friends, but that night, something was different, as if fate had woven a web between them. He caught her gaze, a hint of a smile playing at the corner of his lips as their eyes locked. The chemistry was instant and undeniable. Sophia felt a flush of warmth spread across her cheeks, her heart racing in a way it hadn't in years. She tried to ignore the flutter in her stomach and made her way through the crowd, telling herself she'd just have one drink and then leave. Sophia, isn't it? Gabriel's voice was smooth, almost as if he knew the effect it had on her. Yes, she replied, her voice betraying a slight tremor. And you're Gabriel. We met once before, right? He nodded, eyes never leaving hers. I didn't forget. There was something in the way he said it, something that sent a shiver down her spine. They talked for hours that evening, laughing about shared interests, discussing their lives. Gabriel was a successful photographer, traveling the world, capturing beauty in all its forms. His life seemed so much more adventurous compared to her routine existence. As the night wore on, the electricity between them grew impossible to ignore. When Gabriel placed his hand gently on the small of her back, guiding her through the crowded room, she felt the spark, the undeniable chemistry. Every brush of his fingers sent a jolt through her body. She knew she should pull away. She knew this was dangerous, but the pull of attraction was too strong, intoxicating. I should go, Sophia whispered, though her body screamed for her to stay. Gabriel leaned in close, his breath warm against her ear. Or, you could stay a little longer. His voice was like a sweet temptation, and Sophia found herself nodding, not trusting herself to speak. Gabriel led her outside to the dimly lit garden, where the scent of night-blooming flowers hung in the air. The night was still, save for the soft rustle of leaves in the wind. It was as if the world had shrunk to just the two of them, standing there in the moonlight. Without thinking, without questioning, Gabriel reached out and pulled her closer. His lips met hers in a kiss that was both gentle and insistent, a spark that ignited a fire deep within her. Sophia kissed him back, feeling a rush of passion and desire unlike anything she had felt in years. In that moment, nothing else mattered, her marriage, her life back home, none of it. The kiss deepened, and the world around them seemed to disappear as they melted into each other. Gabriel's hands roamed down her back, pulling her even closer, and Sophia's fingers found their way into his hair. It was reckless and wild, but it felt so right, as if she had been waiting for this moment her whole life. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Gabriel's eyes searched hers. You feel it too, don't you? Sophia nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew this was wrong, but at the same time, it felt like the most honest thing she had experienced in years. Come with me, Gabriel said softly, his thumb brushing across her lower lip. Sophia hesitated, her mind raced with the consequences, the guilt that would come later. But in that moment, under the stars, with Gabriel's lips still lingering on hers, she couldn't think of anything but the desire coursing through her veins. I can't, she whispered, though the words felt hollow. You can, he replied, his voice low and reassuring. Just for tonight, no one has to know. And that was all it took. Gabriel took her hand, and together they left the garden and made their way to his penthouse, the city lights twinkling below them. The atmosphere in his apartment was intimate, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a stunning view of the skyline. But Sophia barely noticed. All she could focus on was Gabriel, standing before her, his eyes dark with desire. They didn't speak as he moved closer, his hands finding her waist. The heat between them was palpable as he kissed her again, deeper this time, more urgent. They tumbled into the bedroom, shedding clothes and inhibitions along the way. Sophia's body came alive under Gabriel's touch, every nerve ending sparking with pleasure. It was as if he knew exactly what she needed, what she had been missing. The night was a blur of heated kisses, whispered promises, and tangled sheets. Gabriel's hands explored every inch of her body, making her feel desired in a way she hadn't in years. Sophia gave herself over to him completely, letting the passion consume her, letting herself forget everything else. They made love with an intensity that left her breathless, their bodies moving in perfect rhythm, as if they had done this 1,000 times before. It was raw, passionate, and intoxicating, an escape from the mundane reality of her life. As they lay together afterward, wrapped in each other's arms, Gabriel traced lazy circles on her bare skin. "Stay," he murmured, his voice husky with sleep. Sophia closed her eyes, her heart aching with the weight of what she had done. She knew she couldn't stay, that she had to go back to her life, her marriage. But in that moment, she allowed herself to dream, just for a little while longer, of what it would be like if things were different, if she could choose passion over stability, desire over routine. In the end, Sophia slipped out of bed, quietly gathering her clothes. She stood by the window for a moment, looking out at the city below, feeling both exhilarated and hollow at the same time. Gabriel stirred, but didn't wake, his arm reaching for her in his sleep. Sophia watched him for a moment, feeling a pang of regret, but also a deep sense of satisfaction. She had crossed a line, yes, but she had also rediscovered a part of herself that she thought had been lost. As she left Gabriel's apartment and stepped into the cool early morning air, Sophia knew that her life would never be the same. She would return to Ethan, to her marriage, but she would carry the memory of that night with her always, a reminder of the passion that still burned within her, waiting to be awakened again.